This image shows the diffusion of Indo-European language by the nomadic warrior thesis, which basically states that these group of people known as Kurgans would take over parts of Europe and South Asia via conquest, and they would spread their language that way because the areas they would take over, they would almost instill their sense of language. And the article I read was from Scientific American, and it basically states the new evidence that they have that shows the development of horses, and horses are very important is because that was what thought the Kurgans would ride on to conquest different towns. So it's very different in Europe, and then in like the Middle East and India, it's like a very sharp decline. Like both areas had them. So it shows that this thesis is very plausible because if they were able to move from one area to the next, the sudden influx of horses would make sense because they would be brought over via conquest period. Also, that same article stated that languages are more likely to flow from a higher power to lower powers to diffuse that way. So if the Kurgans had a strong empire, their language would be more predominant because they are at a higher power than those who are at a lower power, so it could diffuse from ones in power to the ones that they were ruling via their conquest to different parts of Europe, which would allow the Indo-European language to become a more diffused topic throughout the entire world. The second image shows a diffusion of language from the sedentary farmer thesis, which is the same language, which is the Indo-European one. It actually takes place about a few thousand years before this thought to be nomadic warrior thesis, and the spread of language occurred in this way due to farming and the resources that they were able to have, so they're able to support themselves and they didn't have to farm anymore. So with this, they were able to communicate with different tribes and give them food. It started like a trade business, and they're able to diffuse the language to other parts because if they're able to speak this language, they're able to trade with this group. If you're able to trade with this group, you have a reliable food source. The article I read on this thesis was from the United States National Archives, and it said that this theory is starting to pick up a little bit more due to skeletons that are found, and the relation to be able to relate different skeletons in different parts to one base group, which shows how agriculture specifically, because they are shown post hunter-gatherer age, and they're able to spread out and create land for themselves, so when they spread out, the language would also travel with them. I tend to agree more with the nomadic warrior thesis just because it's seen in the world today as especially like English and the diffusion of things from a higher power to those in lower power, especially with economy and government and overall just role of the United States and other countries. And the main language in the United States is English, and you can see the diffusion of English today. And if that occurs in today's world, it had to have happened in the past. And the article that I read really supported that and made me think about that more and related it to today. So that's why I believe in the nomadic warrior thesis over the sedimentary farmer thesis. And war tends to create more change than peace does.